So I saw the new Mario movie, and despite what all the critics have been saying, it just might be the best video game adaptation of all time. If it came out 10 years ago. Thankfully, we as a society no longer have to settle for mediocrity. But Mario is mostly just okay. But in spite of Illumination's track record, you should be surprised to know that it's mostly worth a trip to the theaters. However, it does have one massive problem that drags the whole film down for me, taking what could have been a solid movie in its own right and reducing it to just being a good enough experience. And no, it wasn't Chris Pratt. Yeah, I was shocked too.
Alright, let's go.
Now, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is a story of a plumber named Mario. He's on a quest to save his damsel in distress brother from an evil tyrant who wants to conquer the world. So to stop Bowser, get his brother back, and show his worth, Mario has to team up with Princess Peach and a colorful cast of characters to save the day. So full disclosure, I did not go into this film with the highest of expectations. I actually tried not to have any, if I'm being honest. Visually, all the trailers looked amazing, but this was a video game adaptation overstuffed with celebrities, and Illumination's brand is pretty much synonymous with disposable media. I wasn't looking for greatness, I was just looking to be entertained and to have a good enough time, no alcohol required. Which this film accomplished. The Mario movie is a lot of fun. It is an absolute blast to finally see Mario and company on the big screen. Well, yes, the celebrity voice actors are nothing special, and could have been literally anyone else, minus 3 standouts, but everyone does their job and no one's too distracting. This is the Mario movie people have been waiting for decades. There's a few isolated moments in the beginning where it feels like they're throwing a bit too much side-eye at the source material, but the rest of the film is a love letter to the Mario franchise. There's a passion for the property that practically leaks out onto the screen. More than just reusing musical numbers and visuals, this film comes up with fun and creative ways to integrate them into the story and world building, being able to accomplish what I thought was impossible by taking the various gimmicks and oddities of the very different corners of the Mario franchise and weave them into a coherent whole. It was just brilliant how they were able to take different aspects of each era and genre and incorporate them into specific worlds. From the traditional platforming Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom to the racetracks of Donkey Kong Country. Even this film's version of Brooklyn is just a nod to the oldest games in the franchise. It is an achievement how well they're able to balance all this out, and you can feel that passion throughout the film. Now, some people have complained that this film is a bit too Easter egg heavy, which is a sentiment that I can kind of understand, but for everyone who says this film is exclusively for Mario people, I have to disagree. To a point. Yes, the film is filled with nods to the original franchise and has in-jokes that you can only fully appreciate if you've played the games. But in my opinion, I think most of it can stand on its own. The princess is in another castle line is great, and even if you don't know what that's referencing, you can still chuckle at what a dick this toad is being. I think the rest of the wild and strange world-building choices won't break your suspension of disbelief, and I also dare any of these critics to find a single American child who doesn't know about Mario. However, there is one moment in the film where I would agree that yeah, they were really banking on us knowing the games. Which, to be vague and not give it away with spoilers, it happens during the go-karting section where something happens and it's used, and at no point prior is it set up. Which I could be fine with. Something small like Mario using the drift feature is innocuous, so you don't really need to explain it. But that is not critical to the plot. The thing that happens at the end of the scene fundamentally changes the trajectory of the film, kicking off the third act, separating the party, and triggering a darkest hour. And even if what's used is synonymous with the games, you still need to have played them or know about them to understand what the f just happened. I played the games, and even I thought it was pretty abrupt, so I can't even imagine what it would feel like if you hadn't played Mario Kart before. The film is super good about not isolating fans in the main plot with game-specific things, so this was the one moment where I was like, yeah, that might feel weird to casual audiences. Especially when they could have just introduced it earlier in the scene. Now, Illumination could have easily made this film a cheap cash grab, phoning it in and still making $1 billion because it's Mario. But they didn't, except the licensed music. Every song they picked was comically out of place. They used Take On Me, and even watching the film, you will never be able to guess when they use it. But that music aside, this is Illumination's best looking film, and an actually pretty funny one. As yet, this film has got jokes, with most of them landing, and very rarely does it feel like it's pandering to younger kids with its style of humor. The film rarely had me burst a gut, but the jokes were consistent enough that I never felt alienated by all the kids laughing around me, as I was laughing along with them. With easily the highlight of these jokes, and the best part of this film, by a country mile, being Jack Black as Bowser. Jack Black kills it in this role, providing just the perfect combination of menace and goofiness to one of gaming's most iconic villains. Every scene with Bowser is a highlight. This man needed to be in the movie more. He needed to be in every scene, with an absolutely hysterical musical number that had me howling. And a whole lot of credit to this has to go to Jack Black in the role, as this script didn't do anyone here any favors, but Jack Black nails it. And it's not just that his vocal performance is leagues better than everyone else, it is, but there's more to it. There's just this great synergy between his vocal performance and the animation. Just like with Poe, you can feel Jack Black's mannerisms and expressiveness manifest on screen. I don't know if he's just on set more, possibly acting out scenes so that the animators have a base to work with or just fine-tune what they originally had, but no one else feels even close to being as invested in their character as Jack Black is, which puts his scenes head and shoulders above the rest, making Bowser a highlight and the perfect level of over-the-top heady villainy we've been waiting for, with his motivations being, shockingly enough, very accurate to the source material. But saying any more would be a spoiler. And now I gotta talk about the real problem in the movie, the pacing. The Super Mario Bros. Could have easily been a 7 or a 7.5 movie, something that I genuinely loved and would consider going to see a second time. However, the movie has some of the most weirdly rushed pacing I have ever seen. Like, it's nondescript in how it refuses to let a scene breathe or give the audience any time to process what's going on. The opening scene of the movie is a scene from the teaser where Bowser commits genocide, and the teaser somehow feels slower paced. There are quote-unquote slow down scenes, but they don't really work to slow down the movie like it needs to. Because every scene, and I do mean every scene, feels like it's missing 10 to 30 seconds. There's no opportunity for us to see characters come to a decision or grapple with what to do. They just jump to whatever's next for the plot and accept like, yep, this is what I gotta do next. Like, I am so shocked that this film didn't have a prophecy storyline that explained only Mario is destined to defeat Bowser, because at least that would explain why everyone just lets this guy tag along. People don't so much as meet him as they accept his existence. There's hit the ground running, but this movie's plot hit ice and is sliding downhill. And by some miracle, it never falls down or trips. But this constant momentum makes it so that nothing about the characters really sticks with you. Like, the perfect example of this would be in Crazy Kong's throne room, where Mario agrees to fight DK, and he's warned that this is pretty much suicide, with everyone only getting one line apiece after that. Peach asks him if he's sure about this, Mario says no, joke happens, then we cut to Mario walking into the arena. But at no point does Mario ever get a chance to process what he's doing, so we as an audience don't get a chance to process as well. The tension never sinks in, so it never feels like Mario is in any danger, so we don't really get a chance to feel him triumph when he overcomes it, leaving Mario and the rest of the cast to feel incredibly shallow as characters. Even though they supposedly have scenes that are meant to convey depth, it always feels very performative or glossed over. And I'm used to overly fast kids films, where it feels like the people behind them are afraid to let their overstimulated audience feel bored for even a second. But this is different. The scenes are all there to convey the issues of what the characters are going through, but every scene feels shorter than it should be. It feels like we're getting the absolute bare minimum amount of dialogue to convey the basic idea, and then we keep going. There's not a single piece of fat on this film. While a lot of these kids' movies are fast, and aggressively so, they still feel like they're telling the story that they want to tell. Mario, in contrast, feels like it was gutted and had every non-plot essential breath cut out so they can squeeze an extra screening in at the end of the day. With these pacing issues leading to the emotional moments not landing, as the setup didn't get enough time to make us care, or they can just pretty much laugh, as what was supposed to be set up went by so fast that we didn't even register it as a problem. There's a scene with DK where you're supposed to feel like, oh, the emotions, the feels, and I was laughing my ass off, as no, you didn't set up anything, so you can't pull this shit now. And you can say that about Mario as well. He's the main character, allegedly, as it's almost hilarious how the beginning of the film, does such a better job setting up Luigi's arc than Mario's that it honestly feels like Luigi is going to be the main character. And I know that Mario has historically had less personality to work with, but even if his personality is just standard, there's so much circling around him that just doesn't connect or we don't get a chance to feel for. Like, he has daddy issues, he wants to prove himself, he wants to save his brother, and the movie doesn't fully set up any of that, or doesn't explore enough to make me really care, as keeping the plot moving forward is way more important than the actual characters. And this rapid pacing doesn't ruin the film for me, but it does undercut a lot of it, rendering the film to just be an enjoyable but thoroughly disposable experience. I'm gonna rewatch this again at some point, especially the Bowser scenes. The visuals are beyond amazing, and I'm sure it's going to make all the moolah. But the movie is just okay. As a whole, it landed, but it just doesn't stick with you. As the movie is moving so fast, nothing has a chance to stick around. Still worth the price of admission, and I want everyone to go see it and come up with their own opinions, rather than listening to Rotten Critic System. But most importantly, if you take one thing away from my video, I want everyone who watched this to do 10 push-ups every time they see a Mario Easter egg breakdown thumbnail. You all will get jacked, but that's enough out of me. This has been Sarcastic Chorus. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about the Mario movie. Did you love it? Who was your least favorite celebrity performance? As one of the characters here sounds like they were written by AI, and I don't want to say which.